welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Brendan, I'm playing whatever I want, and I'm choosing to feature the Blue Painter deck that I have not yet played on the channel. This is a cool hybrid of multiple decks that we already know about in Legacy, fueled by a relatively new card. We've got Painter Servant. All cards are whatever color you pick. With Grindstone, target player mills 2. If those cards share a color, repeat the process. Grindstone plus Painter mills your opponent's entire deck. That's one of the core combos. And then we have the One Ring plus Paradox Engine. This is the top end of Mystic Forge combo or those Tony Scapone blue Paradoxical Outcome decks. If you have Paradox Engine and you tap the ring in a deck that contains cards like Mox Opal, Manifold Key, Grim Monolith that go mana positive when you cast them, that then untaps the ring, then you draw more cards, and if there are cards that trigger the ring, off you go. And then once you have cards like Monolith and Opal in play already, the engine's untapping those two, and it's not hard to draw your deck if you have the One Ring plus Paradox Engine, and at some point when you draw your deck and float mana with Grim Monolith, you will draw Painter Servant and Grindstone. And then, this is also a Thoughtcast deck. Got a little Thoughtcast Emry Lurker of the Loch action with Urza's Saga, of course. That reads kind of like 8-cast. The blue cards mean you can back all of this up with Force of Will. And the reason this deck rose to prominence, Stock Up. Aether Drift has been out for quite some time now, and Stock Up just keeps finding new homes. Turns out, Digging Through Time is a powerful effect, especially in a combo deck, especially in a deck that can ramp mana, whether it be through Ancient Tomb or Mox Opal. Having this effect ahead of schedule is very powerful. Having this effect on schedule is powerful, so naturally, accelerating it is even better. And this is a smooth murder machine that has put all of these things in the same place with the same goal of shredding through your deck, assembling Painter Grindstone, Urza Saga Beatdown is available, Emry Value is available, and this is a lot for any sort of fair deck to try to fend off, and unfair decks have to beat Tutorable Graveyard Hate, Force of Will, and a combo of its own. Very powerful things happening on top of each other. Let's see how this works. I'm on the draw in round 1. Time to figure out what my hand does. I have Painter and Grindstone. I have 2 lands plus Lotus Petal. I will keep this hand. This is, at minimum, a 1-2-3 combo. Grindstone on 1, Painter on 2, activate on 3. If I draw any sort of mana acceleration or interaction, it gets better. I'm going to lead on Grindstone here, because Saga can tutor Grindstone, and I want to play that on turn 2. It's both a better land than Sink into Stupor, and gives me the backup of Saga Gaming. The opponent's Beastorming in response. They might be looking for Daze here, but I don't care if they Daze this. I actually am stoked if they do. Nice. Force Pitching Tamiyo. Deal. I got access to another one of those. I can stock up or make constructs. Just gotta hope I don't get comboed out in the meantime. Okay, fetch, pass. So this is probably Hardcast Daze or Orcish Bowmaster. Those are the things I would expect. Mox Opal's a hell of a draw. That lets me stock up right now. Around Daze even. This does not get hit by Bowmaster. There's Force of Will, and another blue card is probably what I want here. I don't need another Opal or Petal. Yeah, I'll take Force Blue card, just right off the stock up. Does everything you need. And now I have a straight line to victory with protection. Entomb. All right, well, I do care about that one. I'm going to force the Entomb. The opponent is passing their turn. Manifold Key. All right, I can play Key and still make a construct if I want to spend my Petal to do that. Or I could zap in Sink into Stupor, or I could have access to Sink into Stupor. I think I want to hold back the Sink and just leave mana available. Okay, they're just done. Don't want to play through. All right, sweet. Well, that was easy. We appear to be against Reanimator, and that we saw Tamio, so it's the blue-black Tempo Reanimator strategy. Another Soul Guide Lantern, love it. Hull Breacher beats up the non-combo half of the deck pretty hard. Like, what does Tamio even do with a Hull Breacher around? Nothing. Spell Pierce gives me some efficient interaction. Force of Negation gives me another layer of free interaction if I want that. I hope we get to play Cyberdrive Awakener at some point. There's one in the sideboard of this list, and oh doggy, this is a sweet one. 6 mana, 4/4 flying. Other artifact creatures you control are flying. When this enters until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until end of turn. Bang. But that's not coming in this matchup. I'm just excited that the card's in the list at all. I probably don't need to Paradox Engine this deck. I'm always comfortable shaving a Mox Opal in sideboard games against basically any opponent. I think I like the Spell Pierces more than I like the Hull Breachers, if I don't have room for all of it, and I don't think I'm going to. Manifold Key is exciting with Grim Monolith. I could play just kind of a slow it down a little bit game. Cut one Monolith, Opal, and Paradox Engine. That loses my top end Go Crazy combo. The Fairy Macabres are here, but I think between Forces, 2 Soul Guide Lanterns, and now Spell Pierce and my own combo, I can challenge the Reanimator part without going that hard. I'd bring that in for like Oops All Spells or Dredge. Okay, I'm going to keep. If they have Ascend, I'm in a little bit of trouble. I'm actually going to lead on Urza Saga to get my Soul Guide Lantern faster. A fetch. I hope this is for Undercity Sewers and not for Entomb. Ooh, Hedge Maze, fun. We have a third color revealed. I wonder if this is my bug Reanimator deck that I put on my Mox field. I built a bug Reanimator deck that sideboards into bug beans. At the time I'm recording this, that has not come out on the channel yet. All right, now I'm more interested in Seed of the Synod. But it has been posted on my Mox field. By the way, follow my Mox field if you want to know what's coming up. Stuff that hasn't come out yet. That is concerning about the potential Witherbloom command now. That kills Grindstone and buys back that Wasteland to really mess me up. Ouch, this card's so good. Okay, all right. They have Generous Ent in the list. This is not my list. Maxtortion, I believe, put up a 5-0 with a similar list. I was not messing around with Generous Ent kind of nonsense. I'm going to go for this Grim Monolith. Because if I can get one ring down, I will care a lot less about Wasteland. Force Pitching Brainstorm. All right. Opponent is in that scrappy, grindy battle. Wasteland. This is actually an interesting choice. Up the Beanstalk. Okay. Beanstalk is in, and they do want the Urza Saga. All right, big moment to draw. Anything helpful. You're late, Force of Will. I can't cast this Emery, and now you're going to die slowly if we don't quickly figure something out. Murktide Rege. How big is this thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About as big as they get. I think I have to fight this, because it will just kill me so fast. Oh, wow. All right, Force Pitching Brazen Bar. Okay, so we got Wasteland, Witherbloom, kill a permanent, pick up Wasteland, force a permanent, deploy a 7/7, also force another thing, and draw 2 cards along the way. Bug Bean's doing its thing here. God, that deck's beautiful. All right, I will not win this game. I think I could have endured 1 Wasteland, but not 2. And now that I know they're not Turbo Reanimator, what does that change about my interests? I'm more interested in Hull Breacher than I was. Spell Pierce still plays. Soul Guide Lantern's still fine. Cutting 2 mana things and then having mana trouble, I recognize the irony, of course, but also these are things that die to Witherbloom Command or Pernicious Deed or Force of Vigor, all of which are cards that are good chance are in their deck. I think I can go down to 1 Soul Guide Lantern. I still like having 1 because they care about their graveyard, but 2 is a lot. And I'm looking at maybe a Thoughtcast. Sink into Stupor is part of the mana base. Yeah, I think I'm going to shave a Thoughtcast. I've already shaved 2 of the artifacts that would help turn on Thoughtcast. Oh, and this always comes up. Let's just get it out of the way. The commenters will surely ask me, why are you shaving a Mox Opal instead of a Lotus Petal? Mox Opal is just Lotus Petal if you draw a second one. But Lotus Petal is only ever Lotus Petal. That is true if you have Metalcraft, which Lotus Petal helps enable. You cannot get Metalcraft in a hand of 2 Mox Opals and a Lotus Petal. You can get Metalcraft in a hand of 2 Lotus Petals and a Mox Opal. Mox Opal also doesn't help build your... The second Mox Opal doesn't help build your affinity for Emery or for Thoughtcast. I shave Opals before I shave Petals for that reason. I'll see you in the comments, people who didn't bother to listen to that. Okie dokie. Ancient Tomb in the mix. This is a turn 2 the One Ring, or I can commit to Saga Gaming. I'm going to keep. I'm going to play Saga and Petal and pass. I'm playing Petal in case I get Thoughtseized. I don't want them to have a good choice to make. And if I get Wastelanded, we'll just play this turn over again. Being on the play means that their Witherbloom command doesn't line up quite so smoothly. They have to actually have 2 Wastelands this time. Grim Monolith, fascinating. I could just play a One Ring now. Yeah, let's go for it. Grim Monolith. A Force Pitching Spell Pierce on that. Okay, interesting. They valued the burst of mana, even if it's a one-time burst, more than what would come out of it. And they pitched Spell Pierce, telling me they either have more Spell Pierces than that, or that's not what they're trying to do at all. Or they're out of blue cards. All right, I'm going to send a One Ring in. Pummeling the opponent is part of what we're doing here. I didn't get consigned. Drawing my card now before Bowmaster's online. And here, even if they still have Entomb Reanimate, the One Ring can keep up with that. Like, it's more cards than Atraxa. Archon Trigger doesn't resolve. I just got a Hedge Maze and been to Island anyway. Null Rod. Yeah, that one's pretty good. Saga Gaming it is. Otawara, fascinating. Okay, so this can be... All right, I'm going to use this to cast Emery rather than try to sandbag it as Otawara. It milled over a Grindstone and Lava Spur Boots. None of that was going to work anyway. It's mostly fine. Null Rod is a great call. If you're a control deck trying to beat combo decks, use cards like Null Rod and Meddling Mage and Disruptor Flute and Damping Sphere. Don't try to beat us with counterspells. It doesn't work. I am taking a lot of damage from my Ancient Tomb, and now I have this ring that isn't doing anything but dealing 1 to me every turn. Murderous Cutting Emery. Okay. Going for Emery over the constructs, interesting. Like, my artifacts don't work. Okay. Construct. I wonder if there is a Force of Vigor in my near future. Consigned to Memory. All right, I don't get to search. That's fine. I'll deploy a replacement Emery and begin the beats. Wasteland. Okay, so do they have something like Murktide they can put in front of my constructs now? Or what's left? Cycling Generous Ent for a Bayou. If they have the Entomb, 5/7 is pretty big. Murktide, okay. The last card in hand is Bayou right now. And they have a 6/6. That gets me dead pretty quick. Painter Servant, okay. Emery, target, Lotus Petal. Literally just trying to put artifacts into play here. If I play Painter Servant, I go to 7 and I'm dead. Because I take 2 from Ancient Tomb, 1 from the Ring, 6 from Murktide. I am going to have to pass and hope that they brick just a little longer. Long enough that I can sneak these constructs through. But I don't know how I'm going to get them up to 7 power or 8 power that will be required to actually turn this around. Oh, Bayou before Brainstorm. I would have loved holding that land back and having a bad card to put away. I guess if you know you're brainstorming into Barrogoyf, then nothing can go wrong. All right, beat by the Null Rod. But Bug Beans is the type of deck that has all sorts of tools for a matchup like this one. And this is what it looks like when that happens. Force of Will, thanks for showing up. Okay, sweet. If we're going to lose, I would prefer it to be Bug Beans, but we saw what it took. We won game 1 pretty easily, and then game 2, 2 Wastelands, a Witherbloom command, and 2 Force of Wills it took to beat me. And then this one, it was Wasteland, Murderous Cut, Consigned to Memory, a second Wasteland, Null Rod, and then sticking a threat from your last card in hand. And still, like, barely. If these constructs were 1 point bigger, I think I could have pushed through. Yeah, because they're 4. So it did actually take the consign. If I had tutored an artifact, these would have been 5s, Painter, they're 6s, and then I can mush into the Murktide. Or maybe I'm still just dead anyway to my ring. But yeah, I mean, I'm not tilting off. This was a really good match with a lot of counterplay, just showing the amount of dedicated hate it takes to get over something like this. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round 2. My hand does not make mana. I'm going to mulligan it. This hand does make mana. I will keep it. I think Manamo is the card I want the least here. I have turn 1 Emery, and then we're Saga gaming. Yeah, I'll put Manamo on the bottom. I technically could have Emery'd off of the Manamo, but it would have cost me my Lotus Petal. No thanks. If Emery wasn't here in the hand, I would have led on Saga to get Grindstone faster. Emery milled, Force stock up. All cards I would have been excited to see. Forest, Birds of Paradise. Okay, this is a start that could indicate that Zenith for Collector Oof is a thing their deck might be capable of. I guess I'm just going to go full send here. Painter Servant. I'm going to paint it blue and then target Grindstone with Emery. I can use Emery to play Lotus Petal next turn if I even need it, but I'll just put my opponent in check. If they Zenith for Oof, I'm going to have to work my way into Sink into Stupor somehow. Allosaurus Shep. That's not a Collector Oof. Oh, it was just in your hand. Even better, you sick asshole. All right. Got some work to do. Saga ticks up. Resaga. Emery target Petal. Play Petal. It's going to be really hard to cast the Sink into Stupor. Yep. Not sure what my plan is, actually. This is probably some sort of Nadu Zenith deck. They just had it too. Couldn't even Zenith for it like a normal person. I guess I should have played Monolith there, because I'm not able to make a construct anyway. Noble Hierarch. Zenith for 1. Sylvan Safekeeper. Now I can't possibly remove Collector Roof. Construct Beatdown's going to have to be the plan. Which means I'd really like to draw Ancient Tomb, and I did! Hell yeah. Okay, that's useful. Is anything here actually helpful or interesting? Probably not. Guess I'll grab Mox Opal just in case it could ever be useful, though I don't know what the case would be. Alright, I will get at least 2 constructs here. I would have preferred 4. And they still have 4 cards in their hand. A Natural Order, a Nadu, all manner of things here. Oh yeah, alright. Completely cooked and not close. Sometimes opponents have in their main deck a powerful sideboard card. Is what it is. Alright, Soul Guide Lantern doesn't matter. Cyberdrive Awakener, it's time. Might have to awaken that Cyberdrive. Repeal is another answer to Oof. Pithing Needle can name Nomad's Encore. That feels important. Spell Pierce could clip Zenith if they don't just raw dog the Oof again. -1 Opal. Minus Paradox Engine. Awakener is my top end now. Going fast seems like a reasonable plan. Do I have room for these Spell Pierces? I feel like I have to, whether I like it or not. Is it wildly irresponsible to play with 1 Grindstone? Probably. Alright, I'm going to go -1 Monolith, -1 Ring, and try it like this. Those are just cards that are terrible if they have Oof. Well, there's the force for their Oof, but what else does the hand do? I have a land, but only barely. My next mana source casts Stock Up. That's not bad. I'm actually going to keep this. Maybe it's risky. Maybe it's reckless. But you can't talk me out of it. Okay, I am going to play Soporific Springs untapped and pass my turn. Opponent's on a mull to 5. Hopefully chasing some kind of ridiculous counterplay for exactly what my nut draw is. Okay, Lotus Petal. I could Pithing Needle Quirion Ranger and hope this is worth a lot of mana. Okay, that's sleepy now. I missed on the land, but I also didn't get Force of Vigored. Okay. They attack me for 1. Misty Rainforest. Zenith for X = 1. I was worried about x equals 2. This is probably still a problem, though. I'm going to force pitching Thoughtcast. I don't want to lose my Lotus Petal to Spell Pierce this, even though I would love to Spell Pierce this. I chose to play Pithing Needle instead. Okay. It's getting dicey. I am going to pass, leaving up Spell Pierce, in case they have another Zenith. Maybe Stock Up is worse than Thoughtcast here. I'm closer to casting the Thoughtcast. I could just cast it next turn, or at any time that I want. It's less powerful, obviously. My opals are on right now. If I draw those, Lotus Petal is live. I don't want Lotus Petal, just let me draw Urza's Saga, and then I'll cast Stock Up with it, and we'll be fine. Okay. Well, they have plenty of mana, and it seems like Aquarian Ranger was not the name for Pithing Needle. Alright, cool. Just like we drew it up. Okay, deck, we fended off Collector Oof twice now. Can we turn the corner? Emery, that's a card I'm allowed to cast. Alright, she milled over a bunch of stuff. I do like Lava Spur Boots, but I don't like spending Lotus Petal to get it. Alright, shields are down now, though. If they just assemble Nadu or have a third Zenith. Seems like those things didn't happen. Grim Monolith. I was just going to say that would be a good card to draw. Okay, I'm casting Grim Monolith. I am targeting Painter with Emery. I am casting Painter. We're getting Chord of Called in response. Chord for 1. Getting Allosaurus Shep. Alright, I'm going to name Blue. And I'll deploy Lava Spur Boots for good measure. I wonder if it was better to stock up with that mana. Oh, if they just play Nadu, there's nothing I can do about it. Okay. Well, they're going to get to activate this thing. Flip at least 8 cards. There's a Dryad Arbor in their deck. We've already seen it, so it's at least 10 cards. Bird's Paradise at least. Or no, it's 12, then 16. You get 2 per. Alright, you win. Okay. Another deck with powerful main deck, tutorable sideboard cards. On to the next round. The 9th installment of the NYSE Vintage Open Series is coming. This 15 proxy vintage tournament with Power 9 prizes takes place on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 in Long Island, New York, and has a $500 entry fee. That's a hefty entry, but the guaranteed prizes for top 8 are unlimited Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. The NYSE Open 8 went well for me last year. Someone better come stop me from getting another Lotus. Will it be you? I'll be at the NYSE Open 9 on June 14th, and I hope to see you there. Register on melee.gg or use the link in the video description. I'm on the play in round 3. I have Soulguide Lantern to defend me from Graveyard Mess. I have a pretty fast Thoughtcast. Alright, I will keep this. Opponents on 7. Soulguide Lantern. I hope they're Oops All spells and they just lost. The only times I ever hope my opponents on Oops All spells is when I am on the play in game 1 with a Graveyard Hate card in my opener. Any other time, they're douchebags. We've got a basic Swamp and a Thoughtseize. This will probably take Thoughtcast, is my guess. That is what I built my whole hand around, my whole idea, my whole identity. Unless they're worried about casting some spell or sticking some permanent next turn, they could take Sink into Stupor, because I am representing that. Ancient Tomb is not the worst card there's ever been. I am representing Sink into Stupor. In Pluto Delta Swamp Thoughtseize, good chance Soulguide Lantern is doing something here. Wasteland, disappointing. Now my hand doesn't do anything until I find some more action, but I got the 4th stock up, 4 Thoughtcast, 4 Urza's Saga, 4 One Ring. There's a lot of action in this deck if you want to put me in top deck mode and see what shakes loose. It's a risky proposition. Yeah, we got him! Alright. They don't know I drew Ancient Tomb, which is great because going after the Seat of the Synod instead of the Ancient Tomb gives me so much gas. Alright. Maybe should have Thoughtseized before you made this decision. Now you know. Okay. I mean, if I just get Stormed out next turn, it won't matter, but what Storm deck has Wasteland in it? Alright, I'm going to deploy this Grindstone because I have the mana, and just having this thing around gives me some options. Create a Construct, pass. I guess I could have just sacked Lotus Petal and passed without tapping the Ancient Tomb. Ponder. Shuffled the Ponder. Make a construct. I'm going to tutor Lava Spur Boots here, and Seed of the Synod is going to crack their head in. Lava Spur Boots, Seed of the Synod, equip the boots. Fatal Push right now, or you're in a lot of trouble. All right, had the Fatal Push, that's fine. Still coming in for a bunch of damage. Another Ponder. Do not shuffle this time. Baleful Strix, that one's good. Painter Servant, Ancient Tomb. All right. Island, equip my Lava Spur Boots. I will not be attacking though. Could begin the slow grinding. Generally not a great plan, but I got the mana. Smoke them if you got them, right? Brainstorm. The concern with slow grinding a deck like this is what if I mill over their Archon for them, or what if I enable a Murktide Regent? Having the Soul Guide Lantern gives me some extra comfort against something like that. Still might not be a good idea though. Looks like they're playing the Murktide right now anyway. I definitely won't be grindstoning someone who already has Murktide in play. Right now I'm trying to draw Painter Servant and just win. Full-size Murktide. And Baleful Strix, so good. Thoughtcast, alright. Give me the goods. Start the chain. Sink into Stupor. That is counterplay for Murktide Regent. I am not going to take damage to put this Grim Monolith into play. You can't make me do it. Ponder. Do not shuffle. Basically cheating. There's Tameo. They've drawn 2 cards this turn already. Alright, the first of 2 hits that will kill me if I don't find something to do. Otawara, okay. Well, that makes my Sink into Stupor a lot more interesting. I still can't afford to put this Grim Monolith into play. Okay, I'll pass. I'm going to save the Sink into Stupor for when Murktide comes back down. But at least the Otawara is not counterable through traditional means. I could Soul Guide Lantern them now, and then Murktide can't come back down. I'm not really in a hurry to do that. It's a 5/5. Cycling Lorien. Oh, I should have responded to that. That was so bad. Yeah, now Murktide is 6/6. I should have responded to the Lorien activation. I just clicked right through it. I still have Sink into Stupor, and I can rip Painter Servant and just win. Alright, you're back. No one likes you, but you're back. Painter? Stock up. Okay. What kind of dice am I willing to roll here? Alright, I'm casting Stock Up. Seed of the Synod and the One Ring. The One Ring dies to Daze. Everything dies to Force. I'm at 2 going into my next turn, which means Ancient Tomb is off. If I take a One Ring here, I'm not going to have time to stock up anyway. If I take 2 rings, maybe I can get something going, but I don't have enough mana to deploy them. It's Seed of the Synod, and if I take stock up, I can cast it next turn at 2 life. If Baleful Strix attacks, it doesn't matter. Alright, I'll take stock up. Yeah, being at 4 with a bunch of Ancient Tombs, not the ideal situation. Right, I am going to pass into their turn. I'm 1 mana, or 1 artifact short of forcing a block on the Murktide. If I bounce Strix, attack with Construct, like if I play out the Grim Monolith, right, they crack their clue right now. I'm going to sink the Murktide into Stupor. This does play around Daze. If they have a Daze, I'll pay. Must have 2 of them then. Okay, did not have 2 of them. Interesting. Maybe just didn't think Daze was ever going to do anything else this game. Okay, I die here to Kaito, to Orcish Bowmaster, a counterspell in hand. I also need to find and deploy Painter before I take 1 more damage. And I can't use Ancient Tomb to do it. We're in bad shape, team. I am impressed by 3 different opponents on 3 different decks who all have the ability one way or another to slow down, absorb, and then turn the corner on the massive redundancy this deck offers. This deck is like all threats backed by Force of Will, and nobody seems worried about it. It's like 2 Thoughtseize taking my card advantage spells, Wasteland my Urza Saga, and then I'm just kind of in the garbage. Even Fatal Push on a construct that would have been lethal by now. Okay, the Strix is getting rowdy. I didn't get Kaito'd. Bowmaster is still there. Still a possibility. Alright. My goodness. The most obvious card imaginable. I'm shocked. Okay. Hullbreacher is reasonable. Cyberdrive Awakener is pretty cool. Yeah, that game might have been partially decided by not soul guiding them in response to the Lorien that let the Murktide come down big on that turn where I would have otherwise found the One Ring and been able to drop that on a board where I wasn't just dead. I'm pretty suspicious of this Paradox engine. I feel like that's going to come out a lot for me. All right, let's go. The 3 juke creatures in, but otherwise leave the deck mostly intact. Not enough mana to play. Gonna mulligan. I guess we keep these. And bottom, it's either Lotus Petal or Otawara. Obviously, Otawara is more stable mana than Lotus Petal, but Petal could get Breacher down a turn early. I'm going to bottom Otawara. And I'll pass. I'd love to draw any blue card here. Hell yeah. Okay, pass. And now I have Surprise Hullbreacher if they do something like Brainstorm or Ponder. They end step Brainstorm and forces enough to get my thing through. I'm going to be so hyped. Undercity Sewer. Even Hullbreaching a Baleful Strix entry trigger is big. Dumped a land. The opponent's passing. I'm going to chill as long as they are. Thoughtcast costs 3. That's too much. Now I can play around Daze with the Breacher. Blue in the pool in the end step. Let's go. Come on, Hullbreacher. Breach them halls. Breach them halls. In Fatal Push plays here. Are they going to emergency Brainstorm in response to Brainstorm? All right, resolves. Fatal Push. Force of Will. All right, don't have it. Just give me one. Give me one freebie. We did it. Okay, they got to put 2 cards back. I'm plus 3 treasures. They might just untap and kill it anyway, and then still got to work through this, but that was a very good exchange. I haven't breached a Brainstorm in a long time. Wasteland, okay. Null Rod. My treasures! Yeah, wasting Manamo here, actually pretty solid. There it goes. All right, Urza Saga, great draw. Ancient Tomb, probably even better. Attack with Breacher. Painter's Servant. I think I'm going to paint it black. That way I'm not helping their Force of Wills, and I am turning off their Snuff Outs if they play them. Okay, Orcish Bowmaster is a card I have to respect here. I'm going to attack with just Painter. Urza Saga, probably best draw in my deck. Tameo. Alright, your clues don't work. For a variety of reasons. Literally can't activate them, and I would just get treasures if you did. Oh, baby. Alright, well, how hard do I want to get cooked by Bowmaster? The answer is I don't. I'm just going to pass. I want some information about whether or not their hand has that card in it before I make any additional decisions. Tameo's making clues. Fair enough. I'll let you sacrifice your Null Rod if you want to activate your clue. I think that's a fair deal. Manifold Key. Alright. That still doesn't help because of Null Rod. It was momentarily exciting. I think I was just supposed to attack with Painter first. Got it through anyway. Lorien revealed. Became Underground Sea. Murktide is powerful enough that I would have to cast the Thoughtcast whether I get Bowmastered or not. Right, Murktide's in. Tameo committed to making clues. I respect the grind. Alright, do I lose? I'm gonna lose if I don't do this. A fetch and response. Oh my god. What could this mean? Do you have the card that is very obviously in your hand? What? Oh no! Alright, I'm dead. Alright, lost another match to Null Rod. Reviewing this deck real quick, I was excited to play this deck compared to the traditional red painter because I love the ability to shred these stock ups, Thoughtcast, Force of Will backup. But red painter has so many more creature value engines, like the goblins, the engineer, and the welder do so much more under things like Null Rod. I've seen red painter shrug off Null Rod left and right, and I'm just ice cold to it. 3 for 3 of opponents have Null Rodded me so far, and the game basically ends on the spot once it occurs. Disappointing. Let's play 2 more rounds and hopefully dodge Null Rod.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 4. I have a accelerated One Ring. I have a turn 2 Emery. I have Force backup. I'll try it. Maybe I'm mulling wrong because I've just not played a lot of this deck, and seeing all the card advantage engines makes me feel like I should be keeping 7s, and maybe I should be mulling to like 5s that can assemble a quick Painter Servant. But I don't think that sounds right. It's plausible. Like, I'm not going to say there's no universe where that's the case, but why are we building the deck like this if we're not willing to keep 7s that have draw engines in them? All right, we got a Ponder and some blue and white basic lands. Staff of the Storyteller. I don't think this is where I want to fight. We have multiple Emerys now. I hope they counter the first one. Force this. Force this. Coward. Painter Servant is in the graveyard. The second Emery lets me not care if they plow the first one, or it gives me an easy pitch to force. Well, it's a use it or lose it situation when it comes to Teferi Time Raveler, so I will use it. Spirit Token gets a point. Alright, do I want to try to go for a One Ring here? Probably. Okay, Lotus Petal. I'll use Monolith. I believe in Otawara as a card. And Emery's just going to be Birds of Paradise here. Emery lets you cast artifacts, not play artifacts. That's why I'm getting Lotus Petal and not Seed of the Synod. Right, One Ring's in. I still have my land up if I spike a Saga here. Wow, Magic is so free. That's okay. My opponent's about to cast a Game 1 Null Rod in their Staff of the Storyteller deck. I can smell it. Drawing a card with Staff. They got multiple problems to solve now. A Brainstorm. Like, Prismatic Ending doesn't even kill anything it would need to here. They could take my Grim Monolith or Lotus Petal. This town ain't big enough. Bouncing Staff and One Ring. Okay, sure. Well, that's a fun thing to be happening. Grindstone is in my hand, and Painter's Servant is in my graveyard. Interesting. Grindstone is also right here. All right, I'm going to play Otawara, and I'm going to cast Grindstone. I could cast the One Ring if I don't want to bother with constructs. Okay, I'll cast the Ring. If this town was the best answer they had to that, I'm okay with it. Or forcing it on the way back down. That's fine. Force pitching Tameo. That's a force that's not countering the Painter Servant that's face up in my graveyard right now. Their hand is Staff of the Storyteller and 3 unknowns. And they haven't plowed Emery yet. Snapcaster. This is going to have to just ponder or brainstorm, dig for an answer. Snapcaster this town. Okay, so this town can bounce Snapcaster and Emery. All right, fun. We're having a good time. This town is in exile, though. Hand is Snapcaster. I drew another Ring. I think I'm going to park on the Ring for a second. And I'm going to make a construct, tutor Lava Spur Boots, hit them in their smelly face really hard, and then play Emery. Hold on. I might be able to do even more this turn. If I play Emery, equip her with Boots. Yeah, then I can move the Boots over. All right. Emery. Okay, Emery resolves. Flipped another Painter. Is there a reason to... Like, I could sack Lotus Petal to equip Emery with Boots, and then use Emery to replay Lotus Petal, but that's the same as just equipping Construct in the first place. I could play Manifold Key instead of doing that. That gets me extra gas next turn. All right, I'm going to zap in Soporific Springs and just boot up the Construct. Yeah, I'm one stable mana source. If this was a land and not a Lotus Petal, I could get +1 artifact into play here. But as it stands, it ends up being the same thing. All right, here's Snapcaster. Out of this town's to bounce. We're going to see a Brainstorm. They haven't had a plow yet this game. And I have a One Ring backup, and I'm still bashing for 8. Once again, a lot of engines to contain at this point. But I've said that a lot and then lost all my matches, so who knows? Force of Will. I'm going to target Painter with Emery. And now if I paint it blue, I can pitch the One Ring to force. Or they can force right now. That's fine. That was 2 cards spent on a card that was not a card. Construct going through. Okay, and I am going to I'm going to equip the boots over onto Emery. If they find removal, I want it to cost a little more. Just put the ward tax on my more important permanent. Okay, 3 cards in hand. One of them is Staff of the Storyteller. They have brainstormed, but they haven't shuffled since they brainstormed. All right, this attack makes me feel like there's a sweeper coming or another this town that'll pick up the Snapcaster. All right, Staff is back. Back again. Storm Chaser's Talent, that makes sense. That's a reason to have this town in your deck. And End Step Dress Down. Okay, that is powerful. That means Emery doesn't work this turn. But you know it does work. The One Ring. Did you think we were going to have a fun, interesting game? You fool. You complete fool. Because I didn't think that. I thought I was going to cast the One Ring eventually. And then the game would end. Okay. I have no artifacts with Flash, so Emery doesn't work in my end step. Pass the turn, and we'll see if they can tempo me out through the One Ring's protection. Doesn't seem likely. Ooh. Caracas. If I didn't have Lava Spur Boots, that would be scary. Hey, Emery's back in my hand. Another Staff. At least playing Null Rod comes at significant cost to this deck. Okay, lose 1 from the ring. Draw a million. That's so many thought casts. My thoughts are so casted. Okay, so it's Emery, equip. All right, I have it here. We got the pieces. Emery. Okay, Lava Spur Boots. Equip the Emery. Emery target Painter. Painter. I will name Black. The cards are already blue. And zap ya. Cool, we did it. We got a win. Won a game. Okay, blue-white control. They could have Null Rods, even though they do have a bunch of artifacts in their deck. Hull Breacher, once again, a sweet one. Spell Pierce seems really good. We saw Snapcaster and Storm Chaser's Talent. I think Soul Guide Lantern's good enough to leave around. Let's kind of go into my old trusty options here. I think Manifold Key might be mid if I'm backing off of the Paradox Engine stuff anyway and trying to be a breacher. Okay, this is what I'm going to try. I like this hand. Keep it. Tundra. They have a bunch of different engines that cost 2, where Spell Pierce thrives. I'm playing my island out first, just in case some mess happens here. Yeah, get your brainstorms while they're good. I'm lurking. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You're going to need a bigger draw engine. It's funny making a Jaws reference because he's literally grabbing stuff out of a boat. Ruining boats is kind of his thing. Ghost Vacuum. Okay. Well, I don't think my opponent's going to play Null Rod. Alright, State of the Synod pass. I'm not going to tap out of my interaction to play Grim Monolith here. Another Brainstorm. Really flushing those out. They know the Hull Breacher is waiting. With its fist full of shiny gold and its crazy face. Staff of the Storyteller. I am not going to fight over this with Spell Pierce, because I want to eat the draws with Hull Breacher. Seat of the Synod. I could play Grim Monolith here, and that still leaves up all my stuff. Yeah, I'll dump out a Grim Monolith. Alright, here we go. It's time to battle. 4 cards in your hand. Hopefully none of them are Swords to Plowshares. Wow, look at this mouse Swords to Plowshares. Mouse to Mouse Shares. I'm going to pitch the Spell Pierce that I held onto for so long. They have so much mana at this point. Okay, had to force me back. Pitching a Brainstorm. Alright, so that was a pretty even exchange, all in all. But now I start casting thoughts everywhere. Or stocking up. Okay, I'm going to lead on stock up, now that I have this dope Ancient Tomb to cast it with. 2 copies of the One Ring. Or I could stock up, plus One Ring. I just want these rings, I think. Thought cast costs 2, but I can still deploy one of them. And Mouse to Mouse Shares looks so good. I don't like all of the treatments and special sheets. Like, I actually hate this Ghost Vacuum. I don't like the way that this Duskmourn treatment looks. And these Brainstorms, oh my god. I think the Strixhaven English Mystical Archive or non-Japanese Mystical Archives are some of the worst looking cards there are. But this mouse and how they've generally treated the special guests in packs, they all look really good. If the Thoughtcast resolves and I draw Mox Opal, I can play the other Thoughtcast as well. If I draw a Lotus Petal, I think I will immediately cash it in for Thoughtcast. I drew a Lotus Petal. As promised, that's actually Thoughtcast. Bang. And that play works because you can announce your intent to cast Thoughtcast while you have 4 artifacts in play, and then the game locks that cost of, okay, the spell costs 1, go ahead and pay for it. Then you can sack Lotus Petal, which is one of the 4 artifacts I was casting, and it doesn't, like, go back. All right, so we've got a Snap Brainstorm going on here. Unless they want to plow their own Snapcaster, that would be fine with me. B-Storm, Fetch, and Tamiyo, plus Caracas. So Tamiyo will not be destroyable. And Emery's pretty bad now, but those aren't really my plan. Emery was already bad once Go's Vacuum came down. Painter Servant, that one's good. All right, I'm going to play Otawara, because that lets me tap Ancient Tomb without taking damage if my ring comes in, which it's likely to do because they have 1 card in hand and white mana available. There's Saga. I could Painter now, or I could Soul Guide Lantern. Yeah, I'm just going to Soul Guide Lantern. And I'll exile that Swords to Plowshares from their graveyard. Even though it looks so nice, but it's gone now. Okay, there's a Saga in the mix. That's Grindstone. Painter in my hand. 1 ring, doing stuff. Ringing in the new year. Not a bounceable legend. Revoke from existence. All right, yeah, revoke existence. That works. Smell you later, 1 ring. Still a 2 for 1. It drew a card, and then they spent a card on it. Desperate times if we're out here playing revoke existence. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's sad. Okie dokie. And I've got another one of these. Are we having fun yet? Drew another Painter. Saga. I'm gonna paint it black again. I don't know if it matters against this deck, but I've painted it black. Live with my decisions. I'll play a Lotus Petal because repealing something might matter. Wow, this black 1 ring looks sick, though. Not as good as the black Lotus Petal, the old border stuff. Swords to Plowshares. Goodbye, Painter. We hardly knew you. Hardly got to enjoy our black border Grim Monolith. Okay, I still have the rings protection. Tamiyo doesn't give a fuck. Meddling Mage, fun. Alright, so you can name Painter with that, but I have the repeal. Big fan of Meddling Mage. I don't approve of using non-Crispicula art, though. No offense to Todd Lockwood, or whoever this lovely lady is. Painter Servant named with Mage. That won't stop me for long. Another Saga. Messed up. Ring. Saga. Opal. Monolith. We're just making our constructs enormous. I don't have a Shadow Spear, but I can eventually dig through their blockers. Tamiyo's still cranking out them clues. The Flyer's getting in. That means they don't have a dress down ready to cook my constructs. Okay, this will flip Tamiyo, which I mostly don't care about. My constructs... Oh wait, they still have the clue. This charges multiple stabs. Okay, that's actually really good. I mostly don't care if Tamiyo flips because my constructs are so big that -1/-0 doesn't really impact their lives, and I have the Soul Guide Lantern if they try to rebuy anything. But it looks like they're interested in keeping Tamiyo around. Stock up. Make a construct. Tutoring. I think I want the boots. Let's apply this pressure right now and worry about comboing off if the pressure doesn't work. Like if I get plowed and gain 11 life here, I'm not even mad. Okay, fetch in response. Okay, drawing cards. I'm going to draw with the ring in response because there is a Hull Breacher in my deck somewhere. Play to your outs. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess committing the Grim Monolith is fine. Hull Breacher. Had it the whole time. Drawing with the other. Draw a card in response. Now, Moment of Truth. They do not have a removal spell. That's good for Hull Breacher and good for this construct. Play out the backup Saga. And I got this mana kicking around. Might as well cast Stock Up with it. I just don't have enough cards in my hand yet. That's my problem. Sink into Stupor, Lotus Petal, the 4th Saga. I think I want Sink and Saga. Do I need more land drops? I don't think I do. I'll take Sink and Stock Up. And then here come my damages. 2 massive creatures crashing in. I think they're going to lose their Snapcaster and a Spirit here. There they go. And I'm going to pass. I could have been more aggressive there if I wanted to do something like bounce the spirit before combat, then they have to block with Meddling Mage. Narset. Nasty. Alright, Narset resolves. Digging for Teferi. I don't love that either. But it's also not the worst imaginable. I could sink it into Stupor if I'm willing to give up on Constructs. Do I need Constructs right now? I don't think I need Constructs. Okay. Sink Teferi into Stupor. Their hand is Teferi and one unknown right now. I have to remember not to tap my ring. Force of Will. Okay. That should win the game. I think I also win the game if I just make a Construct too. A Construct. This one has to tutor the Grindstone. This is what we've been dancing around this whole time. Oh, Painter costs 2, Repeal costs 3, Activate costs 3. Okay, we're not there. Move my boots onto my Construct. And then attack my opponent with everything. If they trade off Meddling Mage here, then that gives me the mana I need to just win instead. Which did happen. Opponent's at 3. Painter. Paint everything green. As long as it's not blue, it's fine. Oh, look at these beautiful green Grim Monoliths. Have you ever seen such a thing? Right, grind your stone. Hope you don't have any sideboard tricks for this, but I have Soul Guide Lantern in play if you do. All right, just showing me their beautiful deck before dying in their draw step. I respect it. We got the GGs. Finally, somebody honest who doesn't just play Null Rod. Bleh. Yeah, this is why you have to be dishonest against these decks. The Meddling Mage, the Ghost Vacuum. They did a bunch of stuff that I could care about in some situations, but I was able to dance around it. Something as devastating as Null Rod really changes the rules. And they're cracking a clue in the upkeep, going out like a boss. Good work. On to the final round. Redemption Arc. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with The Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. I have Force Blue card. I have the ability to start seeing more cards quickly. Opponent has a basic island. I'm going to play Seat of the Synod and pass. My Opal's not on yet. Might as well hide it. Brainstorm in the end step. Upkeep Cycle Lorien. That is the play pattern of end step Brainstorm. On another basic island. Who has this many basic islands and Lorien revealed in their deck? Preordain. Alright, so this is probably show and tell. That would be my guess. Top bottomed that one. I'm going to play Opal first, just in case they get it in their head to counter this. I don't want them to know that I'm about to turn it on with my land drop as well. Stock up. Missing on a mana source here stinks for this one ring. However, another force is welcome. I already have stock up. I already have mana too. Yeah, Singing is super fine. Alright, I am going to take the one ring. That sounds good. And I'll pass. The show and tell decks all play Emrakul, which means you can't just grindstone them. You need to line up the Soul Guide Lantern with the grindstone. That's an extra step to have to solve, or I can win with one of the other combo outlets. Either just the Saga Beatdown or get the Paradox Engine going. My opponent just revealed himself as the guy who makes my end of year highlight reels. Shout out to him. Thanks for doing that. That's fun. I'm going to pitch Thoughtcast first, and I'll probably pitch Stock Up second, because Sink into Stupor is my land drop for One Ring, and I think One Ring will find more cards than Stock Up over time. Force pitching B-Storm. I'll let that clear. Then I'll force pitching stock up. Okay, we survived that wall of attempts. Soporific Springs, take the beats, One Ring, and start trying to reload. I gotta win before my opponent does. This Manifold Key doubles the One Ring's output. That's pretty good find here. We have to imagine opponent has in their hand something worth showing in. Cunning Wish, okay. Are we going to get a Hercule's Recall, or are we going to Intuition for the other 3 show and tells? What are we looking for here? Even like Consigned to Memory could play. Plenty of good instants against my deck. Okay, Intuition is the answer. Don't have the resources to play it right now, which means I have at least one more turn to try to figure out my life. One Ring, Manifold Key, untap the One Ring. Going off now. Stock up Thoughtcast Painters. I guess I'll Thoughtcast. Another Painter. I'll Thoughtcast again. And then I will deploy Painter. And I'm going to paint it black. And do I want to Thoughtcast again? I don't think so. I think what I want to do here is discard Seat of the Synod. Sink into Stupor is at least interaction, kind of. If opponent has a mana here, they can Intuition and Show and Tell all at once. Wow, big dodge. Okay, they just didn't have a land. Lucky me. I am down to 9 life, though, with Ancient Tomb as one of my mana sources. Alright, One Ring. Keep it coming. I gotta find Grindstone and Soul Guide Lantern. Well, there's Grindstone. That's not enough on its own. Thoughtcast. Okay, we found all the pieces. A Mox Opal, play Soul Guide Lantern. Exile, I guess Lorien revealed from the graveyard, doesn't really matter. Lotus Petal, new Opal. I think I'm winning or losing this turn, so I might as well just go for broke. Ancient Tomb, play Grim Monolith. I'd really like to find a Force of Will. Do I need Force of Will? I have Sink into Stupor. Force of Will would be better. Okay, Grim Monolith, Manifold Key, untap the One Ring. I've used 2 of my forces already. That's kind of a lot of those gone, but I'm also drawing a lot of cards. Otawara, Grindstone. I'm literally dead if I tap another Grim Monolith, so Grindstone on the stack Areno. Intuition in response. This might be just getting like 3 Force of Wills, and that would be great for me, because I just have another Grindstone in hand. All right, you can have Force of Will. Force pitching Intuition, 2 cards left over there. That's not a play someone who had more to do would make. So I'm going to play out my Ancient Tomb and the other Grindstone. And can I access 1 more mana? Yes. 1, 2, 3. This playing out Monolith lets me Grindstone with Sink still available, just in case that's important. I grind your stones to make my bread. I'll take a gander at this deck, and then I'll Spellbomb them. All right, we got 2 Emrakul's, Omniscience, a couple of Spell Pierces, pretty standard mono blue Omni Show, it seems. Exile each opponent's graveyard. They could respond to the Emrakul triggers by fetching. Ooh, I might have fucked this up. No, I can bounce my own One Ring with Otawara. It's fine. Okay, not a big deal. That was a tight line that will not get them where they want to go. I could also just play another One Ring, but I like the Otawara better. Return target artifact creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Doesn't say opponent controls or anything. Yep, I'm happy with that. Clean up, discard a bunch more One Rings. Okay, in my end step, Otawara, target the One Ring. All right, what are your 2 cards? Did they deal 5 damage? We did it. Okay. I mean, that was a fun little trick using the stack well. I had 4 different ways in my hand to beat that 1 card. Not a big deal. I like Hull Breacher. Force Negation's finally time to come in. Spell Pierce look good. I expect my opponent will Beseiju me, which I'm not excited about. Soul Guide Lantern's interesting because it's not important at any point in the game until you're grinding them, but at that point it's essential. All right, Opals and Monoliths. Do I want the engine combo? Should I be leaning into that? What if I, instead of doing what I've been doing, what if I go down 2 Painters and focus on being the Paradox Engine deck? No, that feels like so bad though. That's so many more pieces. Like I have a 1 of Paradox Engine that I can't tutor versus 4 Painters and 2 Soul Guides that I can tutor. Yeah, no thanks. I am going to go for the probably Turtle Mode plan. Manifold Key. While that was pretty important that game, I think it is cuttable in the sideboard. Paradox Engine, smell you later. I don't really have 7 cards I want to cut. I could back off some of these Emrys. She's kind of a slow engine compared to being alive longer or breaching their hulls. One ring, huge, awesome, rules. I think I'm going to go another Monolith out. That's 7. And then, do I want this Soul Guide Lantern? If I do, where's it going? Could just play on 1 Opal. Alright, this is what I'm going to try to do. I don't know if it's right, but I have a lot of cool cards in, and I know what my plan is. It's be alive until I assemble Painter, Grindstone, and Soul Guide Lantern. And the cool thing about Mox Opal is if you board out 2 of them and have your 1 of in the opening hand, it just looks very smart. I'm going to keep. Now I can't possibly draw a redundant legendary copy, and I have all my sideboard cards in. This is the universe paying out. A good plan. Bonus on a mull to 6. Preordain. I also boarded out 2 Emrys. I literally have all copies of Mox Opal I left in the deck and all copies of Emry I left in the deck. Just genius stuff, really. If I do say so myself. The perfect sideboard. Drawing Seed of the Synod or Lotus Petal would be the best thing here. Alright. Spell Pierce, not bad for cards that are neither of the things that I said. Ancient Tomb. Please send it into my Spell Pierce. I'm ready. Do not send it. The One Ring. I could play Emry this turn. That taps me out of Spell Pierce. But having Emry in play is really good. I'm gonna just pass. Cycling Lorien off of Ancient Tomb in the end step. Probably means Impulse is still gonna get cast. Yep, there it is. That's what makes sense with that mana. I would counter a stock up here. Just something in the main phase that lets me use Spell Pierce effectively to get Emry down. I'd shoot my shot. Okay, no spells cast. Force of Will. Now I have double force. Alright, Emry, it's your time. Get in there. We gotta do something. Mox Opal's just laying there, useless. Manamo, laying there, useless. Emry and the One Ring are both legends. Milled over a Painter. Okay. That's half my combo. Cunning Wish in the end step. I'm not gonna fight over this because anything this would get, like if this gets a counter spell, then forcing it is the same thing as them countering my force. And if they're on some super slow dirtily line like Cunning Wish for Intuition next turn, Intuition for Show and Tell, then the turn after that Show and Tell, then Spell Pierce is going to be doing its job by then. Firemind's Foresight. Okay. This opponent is planning on having Omniscience in play sooner than later. That's not a card you wish for value. Ponder. Unless there's a secret volcanic island and Carpet of Flowers in the deck that could get them here. But I don't have an island in play, so that's not even the line. If Firemind's Foresight is in for Omniscience, search your library for an instant with mana value 3, 2, and 1. And what that card does is it gets Cunning Wish, Impulse, and Brainstorm. And then, like, you use a Cunning Wish to basically filter Cunning Wish into multiple selection spells. Force Pitching Consign. 2 cards left. I presume one of them is Omniscience. I'm actually going to pitch the Spell Pierce here because my opponent's next land drop goes completely nuts. And I'd rather start turning the corner and winning if I can. Ooh, Grim Monolith helps a lot. Here we go. Grim Monolith is in. And then we've got 3, 4, 5 mana. I could just cast One Ring. I think that's the right way to do this. Because this turns on Mox Opal. If One Ring draws a land, I can also play Painter right now. Easy money. Painter's Servant. All right, and I'm gonna paint it black. Okay, I think their hand is Omniscience and Firemind's Foresight right now. If they rip a Show and Tell, we're basically dead. If I have 1 turn to figure it out, I have Manamo plus One Ring plus Emry going. That's a lot of value. Okay, we're in there. Another Saga drawn. Draw with my ring. Am I getting my hull breached? Intuition in response. Okay. Intuition targets too. That's really funny. Target opponent chooses one, so they couldn't have Intuitioned last turn. Alright, yeah, Intuition resolves. So this is going to get 3 show and tells. And then I got to figure out what else is going on. 2 Force of Wills and a Spell Pierce already spent by me. Okay, you can have a show and tell. Force of Negation. All right, that one's good. Untap target legendary permanent. I choose the One Ring. Is that a good legend? And now I have Force of Negation plus Thoughtcast in my hand. Versus Saga number 2 deployed. And I'll use that to cast Lava Spur Boots. How hard can I hit right now? It's pretty hard, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can make it 6, 7 artifacts. I can put them to 1. Interesting. All right. Grim Monolith. Oh, if I had thought better, I actually have lethal if I play this Seed of the Synod. That was loosey-goosey. Or did I count the +1 from Boots? Do I have it? Yeah, I have exactly lethal. Never mind. Had it anyway. Okay. I did miss the damage, but had it anyway. Played perfectly. No mistakes. We got the GGs. All right. I mean, beating Omni Show feels good. This deck is really scary, and having your own engine that you're working towards and being able to outvalue them feels good. And there it is, a rally in the back half of the league. I defeated all my opponents who didn't resolve Null Rod, and I lost every opponent who did. Yeah, the power of this deck is undeniable. I do wonder if Painter is the best thing we can do, because we have the various Tony Scaponi Blue Jewel decks. If you want to play a Grim Monolith combo deck backed by Force of Will, we have that available. We also have Mystic Forge combo. That deck had a big falling off. I don't know that that one's that good anymore, but that also exists in a similar space, and it's more focused on doing one thing. So do we want a deck that's pretty good at 4 things, or do we want a deck that's very good at 1 thing? Is the classic question of, synergy versus power in deck building. And it's cool that this one exists in that median space where you're not quite fully sending it, you're not quite fully committed to anything, you're not quite fully dead to everything. Null Rod is still bad, though. I'm going to leave this one here. Brendan, thank you for the opportunity to play this. Always happy when I get to cast stock up. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.